Hey guys, Nox here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be stalling for time, waiting for patch notes to drop, hopefully today. It's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I want to go over the Amazon ascendancy for the Huntress, as it's what I'll be starting in the 0.2.0 update, Dawn of the Hunt, launching this Friday. Let's start with Mystic Harvest. Now, this says that Life Leech recovers based upon your elemental damage as well as physical. This does not provide any leech by itself, nor does the travel node to get to it. So you have to find another source of that on your character. Unfortunately, in the current patch, leech isn't very good in POE 2, and additionally this node only affects life leech and not mana leech. It not including mana I think is strange considering the next notable that we'll go over, and I think this notable will be a skip for most people, unless 0.2.0 buffs leech in some way. Next we have Azmeri Brew. Life flasks also recover mana flasks also recover life. Now, this is a very strong node for sustain. GGG have made it clear that they really want boss fights to last longer, and essentially having access to double the life and mana flasks you normally would plays into that intended gameplay loop. The right side of the tree has a lot of nodes for flask sustain as well. Really easy to get to, and they also provide some attributes. So this may be the play for a lot of folks, especially if they're going to be doing a lot of bossing, and it allows us to have that really comfy recovery on the Amazon ascendancy. For the last defense-oriented node, we have Stalking Panther. Now, this halves the evasion rating on your body armor, but doubles the evasion rating on your boots, gloves, and helmet. Now, I think the first thing that comes to mind when everybody sees this is Queen of the Forest. Like, Queen of the Forest is a body armor that gives you movement speed based upon your evasion rating, but it doesn't have a ton of evasion rating to begin with. So you're not losing a ton to gain a ton of evasion on your other gear. This node, you can easily reach 150% increase movement speed without much investment. I've heard some folks say with timeless jewels and whatnot, you can reach like 300%. So this is definitely going to be the blaster way to play using this node. But I wanted to bring some attention to some other options. Warrior Invictus, which drops off of Arbiter of Ash, has a ton of useful stats, spirit, life, etc. Per socketed rune or soul core, and can have up to 5 of those in there. It does have armor, evasion, and energy shield, but only the evasion will be negatively impacted by this node. Dancing Mirage is another strong option, provides less damage taken if you haven't been hit recently, but again has a pitiful amount of evasion on it. Dust Bloom provides mana and life regen if you don't get hit for a while because you stack up these fragile blooms. And then offensively, we have Vol's Protector and the Red Flare Conduit. These both provide us access to power charge generation, which really benefits the next branch that we're about to talk about greatly. And it's also worth mentioning that we have 100 new uniques coming to the game in this patch, and not very many of them have been released. But we do have the Coming Calamity, which is a evasion armor hybrid that provides all 3 heralds at no spirit cost, as well as some elemental res. Yeah, it's super strong. Probably a chase item for a lot of folks, but I think that would synergize a lot with this as well, because again, doesn't have a ton of evasion on it to begin with. Now, this next node, a lot of folks are talking about Elemental Infusion. You consume Power, Frenzy, or Endurance charges, and you gain a stack of Infusion depending on the type consumed. Power Charge gives Cold, Endurance Charge gives Fire, Frenzy gives Lightning. Now, this skill, Infuse Weapon, uses the infusion stacks on the first projectile you fire at the end of its flight for up to 612% weapon damage. Now, this is an ascendancy skill, so you get level 20 guaranteed when you hit level 90, and you get 6 sockets, I believe, when you hit level 90 as well. So this is crazy strong. Like 612% weapon damage is a lot. It's a fourth of a Hammer of the Gods. It's gonna hit really hard. So if you're able to sustain charges, this is going to be a powerhouse. The node behind it, Infused Avatar, has a 50% chance to not consume the infusion buff when you use projectile skills. Just allows you to get more consistent explosions. I think that it's worth noting here that every thrown spear skill has the ability to consume frenzy charges for additional damage or effects. This was mentioned in the Ziggy video posted today, actually, going over the Huntress abilities early on. Highly recommend you guys check that out. So if you can find a way to consistently generate charges, the 2 body armors that I mentioned before, maybe charge Infusion, maybe combat frenzy, especially if you can generate multiple types of charges, this node is going to be insane. The next branch is interesting. Predatory Instinct reveals weaknesses against the target. So against rare and unique enemies, and causes you to deal 50% more damage to those enemies with the open weakness. Now I'll post an image in the video here from the announcement showcase. It seems like roughly 50% of the monster's HP bar has open weakness. That's those little highlighted red areas there. So I think that we can assume that this node will provide a 25% more damage increase, but it's worth noting that you can game this by using a very hard-hitting ability at the very end of an open weakness window, and then you can just push the boss's HP to the next open weakness window immediately. The node behind this is In for the Kill. This gives 20% increased movement speed and 40% increased skill speed when the enemy has an open weakness in your presence. Now, I think this one is way weaker. These numbers, I think they kind of need to be doubled for this to be worth it, or theoretically they could be halved, but it was just like if there's a rare or unique in your presence, you just get 10% movement speed and 20% skill speed. Maybe. I think right now, 40% attack speed, because you're probably going to be using attacks in this character, isn't that great. And 20% movement speed is nice, but again, it's only during that window. It's a nice bonus. I don't think it's worth 2 ascendancy points, basically. Finally, we have the crit branch. The first node is critical strike and allows your chance to hit to exceed 100%, and you gain additional critical strike chance equal to 25% of the XN's chance to hit with attacks. Now, this was confirmed to be base crit in the Darth microtransaction / Gazzy interview with Jonathan and Mark posted earlier this week. Connor Converse, aka One Mana Left, made a great video that breaks down the POE 2 accuracy formula that I suggest you check out, and it sort of shows you the math on why this node is powerful. But the summary is that you could get up to 12% base critical strike chance on top of your weapon at the very, very high end of accuracy investment. I don't think most builds are going to reach that, but I think that this node basically says 5 to 10% base crit for attacks, or additional base crit for attacks, with some moderate accuracy investment. And I think that's a very strong offensive node. The following node, Penetrate, gives flat physical damage based upon 25% of the accuracy affix on your weapon. So going off of POEDB's site, spears can have a flat roll of up to 550%, and the hybrid physical damage accuracy roll can roll up to 200. Assuming your rolls are good but not perfect, you can get roughly 160 flat physical damage to attacks from this node, and that's roughly 8 ring slots worth of flat physical damage added to your character. But it does take up a prefix slot on your weapon. So and it also requires you to have hybrid phys and accuracy as well. So it's good if you have good gear. It's completely useless if you don't. My plan for Dawn of the Hunt League start is to roll a Huntress, take Infused Avatar first if I can get some reliable charge generation. I'm hoping one of the 100 new support gems will help with this. Second trial will be Predatory Instinct for the 25% more damage on average, then Critical Strike, assuming I have enough accuracy on gear to make it worthwhile. But what about you guys? What's your starter for Dawn of the Hunt? Hopefully patch soon. That's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Surely today, right? Surely today.